Good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Preparing for Dynamics CRM 2015. I'm Megan Turco, and I will be your moderator today. Before we jump in, I'm going to briefly go over how to use the webinar console. The orange arrow on the right side of your screen will let you toggle your control tray open or closed, and at the bottom of the control tray you'll see a chat window. Feel free to submit your questions at any time throughout the webinar via the chat function, and we will answer as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar with our presenters. Additionally, for your audio settings, on the console you should see an area that's labeled Audio Settings. If you're calling in through your telephone, please choose the Use Telephone option. Alternatively, if you're using your computer speakers, please select the Use Mic and Speakers option instead. Additionally, I do want to note that our webinar today is being recorded. So we will be sending out the slides as well as a link to the recording within a few days after today's webinar, so you can have that for reference or to share with any colleagues if you'd like. And before we get started today, we actually do have one poll question right at the beginning. So we would appreciate everyone to go ahead and take a look and let us know. So the first question that we have today is, what version of CRM are you currently utilizing? Version 4? Version 2011, 2013, 2015, or I don't know. We know that some of you might not be completely familiar with which version you're using. So we'll go ahead and give everyone a moment here. Looks like we have almost everyone voted so far. And we'll close the poll in about 3, 2, 1. Let's see here. So it looks like most of you are on version 2013. So that will help our presenters sort of know how to tailor their presentation for today towards each of you. And with that, I will actually introduce our presenters. First, we have Larry Betts, who is the director of Armanino's Microsoft Dynamics CRM practice. He's been involved in the CRM world for over 17 years and has worked with many different software companies and brings an understanding of how to design a CRM solution that works to improve a company's business process. We also have Greg Leaf with us today, who is a senior consultant for Armanino's Microsoft CRM practice. Greg has been in software development for a number of years and is an accomplished author and teacher with he's co-authored 6 technical books, developed curriculum for training classes, and taught many seminars and workshops. And he has advised and assisted many different organizations on their CRM software and upgrades. So it's great to have you both with us here today. And I do want to cover a few of our learning objectives for the day. During the webinar, our participants will learn about features and new capabilities in CRM 2015, new integrations and changes to the user interface, technical considerations for upgrading. I know most of you are on 2013, so that one might be especially useful. And best practices for planning your CRM 2015 on-premise or online upgrade. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Larry, who's actually going to cover our second poll question. We know we've got 2 really quickly here for you in the morning. So go ahead, Larry.
Hey there, everybody. It's Larry Betts, and I do have one quick question for you, if you would. The question is, what is your organization currently using CRM for? The first one is customer service. The next one is marketing automation. And then Salesforce automation, that would be opportunities, leads, tracking, that kind of thing. And finally, other. So if you could answer those questions. This helps me to direct and spend time on the feature set that we're going to be looking at here. We've got a number of enhancements. I tried to keep my top 10, and I think I ended up with 14. So I will spend time where you guys are. Let's give it another few seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Megan. All right, so actually it's a great split. Wow, 55, 45. Okay, yeah. So kind of everything, which is good. And I know my buddy Chris Doe is online, and he's heavy duty on the other also, I think, with all the crazy stuff you're doing with it. So very good. Let's just go ahead straight into the presentation then, and I will take it from here. Thanks, Megan. So what we wanted to do was talk a little bit about the new feature sets that are coming in 2015. And I know a lot of you obviously have the system and you want to learn quickly about, how do you get from 2011 or 2013 up to 2015, and that will be my buddy Greg. So I'll try to get through my presentation quickly so you can get all the detailed gearhead questions from him. I won't be taking those. So what I wanted to do first was talk a little bit about the cadence or the release of the Dynamics CRM product. So the on-premise, which I think a number of you probably are on-premise, where it's installed actually in your servers, kind of in the back room by your IT department, they release a new version of CRM every year. Now they don't always, label it, that year. I think we had 2013, but we did have a release, an R1 release, the end of last year for the on-premise version, and then this 2015 they've actually rebranded it for this year. And that's traditionally about this time. They say they try to release it by the end of the year, which is, most typically December 31st at midnight when they finally get it out to us. And then the online version, so that would be the CRM Online, that is released with new feature sets twice a year. And it's because obviously they control the servers, they control the database, they control the mechanisms behind it, so it's easier for them to upload and make those modifications. However, they do what they refer to as updates or roll-up updates, which everybody else out in the world calls bug fixes. They do that every 8 to 10 weeks. And occasionally they'll include some additional new functionality, not a ton of it there. And those will be, you'll see those as RU. So, RU 1, 2, 3, 4. And we always recommend people to, hold off probably till at least RU 1 comes out before they actually do their update, which in reality that's probably in the next couple of weeks for this CRM 2015. And one of the things that Microsoft made a point of this year was that where they did invest their money. So they put a ton of money into the marketing components. We're not going to be going a whole lot of detail on that because they've actually acquired a new suite of products. It was formerly called Marketing Pilot, and they brought it in. It's now called Dynamics Marketing. And it's the automated email, automated campaigns, click tracking, website click-through tracking, all of that functionality is now available as a module for CRM. We're not going to be going into a ton of detail about that. We just know that that's available. The sales functionality, we will be going into a fair amount of that, and they've enhanced that just tremendously. And for you folks on 2011, you're going to see some great new user interface features that are just flat cool that I think you'll enjoy. The 2013, they've enhanced the user interface, made it a little simpler, a little easier to get around, not quite as many clicks for your sales folks. And for the customer service, anybody who's using that, which I see we got over half of you are using it for customer service, they've dramatically enhanced the functionality there finally. And as you know, that's been a decent functionality, but they haven't put a lot of effort and a lot of money into it over the last number of years. And we'll be going into detail about service level agreements and some cascading information that we can get from that. The social component, again, we're not going to be going into a ton of detail on that, but just know that they've connected it to Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. It's called Dynamics Social Listening. And again, that's another module that you can get for the system. The people online, if you're online, you already have it. You may not be using it, but it's easy to turn on. In addition to that, oh, and by the way, it's included on the online price. On-prem, you have to pay for it a little bit. And then the other component is Dynamics, what is it they call it? Social Insights. So that's kind of what I would call like a Hoover's or a D&B research of about any given contact or person. And it's tremendously powerful. We use it internally a lot. I know Megan, actually Megan's team uses it quite a bit to track down information about clients of ours and that kind of thing. And that is also available free for the online and for a very small price for the on-premise. And then some of the detailed information about the platform enhancements. I think Greg will be going over that, but that's a little bit more gearhead. I didn't see anybody too technical on the call. Maybe a friend a little bit, and we can go over that in more detail for the Zazzle implementation of some of the great new enhancements they've done with authentication into the servers and such like that. So that said, let's go ahead and get into some of the detail here. Let's see, there we go. Top 10 features, and I think, as I said, I got 14 of the top 10 features here. So the first one we did want to cover is just a little bit of that marketing automation that I mentioned. I don't have any screenshots for it because it's actually an entire new module for it. It's a very sophisticated, very powerful. They describe it as an ERP solution for your marketing team. So it actually tracks the bills as they come in, so you can do a true ROI of what it costs to get this customer, this campaign, roll up how many people, how many leads, actually all the way through to how many dollars were created from that Google click-through campaign, that kind of idea. And with that, it enhances things like an email editor, which has been added to it. So it's a WYSIWYG editor where you can drag and drop now pictures right onto it. Beautiful emails outbound. It would be a competitor to like Eloqua and ExactTarget, that kind of thing. That's the exact area it's in. It actually was a high-end one that Microsoft purchased, and then they added it into the Dynamics components. So everything now synchronizes back and forth. And it is a SaaS-based product, so it is online. The campaign console is actually very powerful. Again, drag and drop, so you can change how a campaign will roll. So you might have a phone call, and then an email, then a letter, then another phone call, and you can actually just drag and drop and change how that process will go. The integrated social listening is also included in that. So through your campaign, you can be watching to see how people are using hashtags about your campaign, that kind of idea, and it also will incorporate that information directly into the CRM. So if somebody happens to, you know, that's obviously a little bit more B2C kind of idea, but if somebody hashtags, it'll actually show up in their contact record inside CRM that this person has been using your hashtag. And also with the social listening, it will tell you whether it was a positive or negative. It has a kind of a human context to determine the speech on it, and it will tell you whether your hashtags are trending positive or negative. And you can actually do that queries other than hashtags also for that. Sales collaboration, incredibly powerful, and one of the features I love about it is that a salesperson can go in there, and again with Megan from our marketing department listening, I don't know if she'll love this or not, but they can actually stop some of the marketing from going on. Let's say, for instance, you have a salesperson that's gone out on site and talked with somebody about a particular product or particular service, and they said, no, we don't want that, that's not something we're going to do, and yet you see that a marketing piece is going out to them about that next week. You can actually shut it down from their account record. So it's not just kind of a one and done, everybody gets exactly the same thing. You can actually tailor it to a specific individual in the organization or to the account in general. Marketing resource management, it actually will track all of your logos and the people that are doing it. It has swim lanes for tracking tasks and times to be able to get webinars like these done, you know, that we have to have things done in a certain timeline to get that done. And then the process automation also goes along with that. And so then number two, the second item I found that I thought was just great was this enhanced business process. Now for you that are using the CRM 2013, I should have had another poll question here for you, but you know there's the business process system in there that allows you to do some really simple, what we would have used JavaScript for in the past. That would be, you know, if somebody checks this box, then make this field mandatory. Think of that along the lines, if a lead goes from unqualified to qualified, before it's qualified, you might want to make mandatory their email address. You know, we don't want to have anybody that's an official lead in the system unless we have their email address. Well, you didn't have to do that with any code anymore. That was all built into the system, simple checkboxes. Now what they've enabled you to be able to do is actually have branching logic for your sales process. So think if you go via A, B, C, if you're selling hardware, for instance, computer hardware, you can go through this process, and it's a specific process, maybe demo the hardware, show it to them, give them some pricing. And somewhere down the road they say, oh no, we've decided just to buy software instead. Well, by simply checking a box, you can change their whole sales process to be a different kind of thing. I'm not going to be demoing hardware to them. Now I'm going to be going in and determining whether they have budget for software, that kind of idea. So that actually allows you to change your process. And I know I'm thinking of the credit union, for instance. I know some of the folks are on from that. This would be great if you had somebody check a box that said they wanted to track wealth management. You know, then it would actually allow you to set up a separate sales process specifically for those types of individuals. And you know, think of that if you had an executive in an organization. You find out this person is an executive. Well, you might want to speak to them differently, maybe about ROI instead of feature sets or that kind of idea. Anyway, very powerful with the branching logic that we now have in it. And by the way, if you have any questions, you'll notice, I think Megan mentioned that there's a question down at the bottom there. You can click the little plus and type a question in. Please feel free to do that as we go, and we'll be answering them at the end. And if there's anything that's specific to the particular topic I'm on, if I happen to notice it, I will try to answer it at the time. On to number 3. I'll try to pick this pace up a little bit. Customer service. I'm sorry, this is the enhanced mobile sales. I looked at the customer service dashboard. So the enhanced mobile, so this is a new tablet application. They had a tablet application they put out in 2013. It was great for visuals, but now we've added the dashboard functionality. We've actually added the ability to be offline and write data back into the system. They also included sales hierarchy information, so you can see org chart for the organization. Maybe you're walking in the door and you want to know who the person is you're going to be talking to. You can actually visualize the org chart from that company before you walk in the door. And it is just beautiful. It's all, you can see the large size of the button, like the arrow button at the top left there. So it's really made for a very, very nice touch interface. Enhanced business rules. As I mentioned before, the functionality for the enhancement of the sales process, they've added that in for the business rules also with if-then conditions. This actually adds some really great functionality to say that allows the end users, your folks there, some of the technical people on your side, with just maybe an hour of training from our team, like someone like Greg, can teach them how to build conditions so that the user interface is more tailored to your team. So if we want to hide a section or open up an area or that kind of information, if somebody's from out of state, you might want to have different information on the form. It actually allows the form to become dynamic, and you don't have to call us to program it. Now, we're happy to program it for you, keep in mind, but this allows you to do that functionality within your own team. And it's, it's not easy to screw it up. I mean, it's relatively simple. It's, like I said, if-then else conditions. With an hour of training, we can probably get you up to speed on that. Number 5, this is the holy grail. Everyone get ready here. I've had CRM users get misty over this one right now. Notice just kind of under my picture, slightly to the left there, it's a little fuzzy, but I blew it up large there. It says enter search. There is now a global search for CRM. So if we type in Chris, then we will find every account with the name Chris in it, every contact, every lead, every user, every opportunity. And when it shows up, it allows you to say, okay, I don't want to look at accounts. I just want to find people. So maybe that would be contacts and leads. And you can just check or uncheck the box, and it will find everything throughout the entire CRM database that way. And they built it so there's no configuration for it. It's really a brilliant way. Everyone probably knows about the built-in functionality of the quick search that says, okay, I want to be able to search for phone numbers, email addresses, first name, last name on a contact, right? And you can search for all those things in one simple box. What this global search does, it uses that same information, but it does the search across every entity in CRM. So it's I say every entity, there's a limited set. It's accounts, contacts, leads, users, opportunities, cases, I believe is what it is. So very, very powerful, and I can hear users getting misty out there as we speak. This is I think my favorite feature in the whole thing. Certainly the most requested feature. Now, this is the next one here, and I'm just about on time, so I'm going to try to keep the speed moving here. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the box there. Security enhancements. So this is a little bit of detail. This is probably a little bit more technical than I'm used to necessarily getting into, but they have 2 new security hierarchies built into the system. One is a manager's level hierarchy, and the other is what they're calling a role or function based. So think about that as you can still own the data, but let's say, for instance, I work in the Northeast sales team, and there's 6 of us out there, and I'm on vacation, and even though I own this opportunity, but I'm gone for a few days, somebody in management doesn't have to go and open the opportunity to make the change for me. if I've given if the permission is designed so that anybody in my team can maybe make edits to my opportunity, call in on a lead or resend out a quote or do whatever necessary without actually changing the ownership of it, right? So that's very important. And without necessarily sharing it individually, making the conscious choice, I'm going to share this one opportunity with the rest of the team. If you choose to within your organization, you can give that security options, that it would be of edit or maybe whatever that level of security you want to give to everybody within a given organization or a team kind of idea. So we would create that team, we would then assign people to it. The advantage is it's very simple. You simply assign people to that team and all the features and all the security roles go with them. The other one is the manager's hierarchy. So again, a manager doesn't necessarily need to be directly over you, and they can have the ability to be editing and doing that kind of information. And you can see here, this is just a simple screenshot of how you can edit it and what kind of features and functionalities you can add to it. And again, by simply adding somebody into that manager's area or that function or that role, they automatically get the ability to perform that information right from there. Let's see. Yep, those are the notes on that one. And number 7, it didn't click. Let's try that again. Megan, could you advance that for me, please? Thank you, thank you. Outlook Sync. So this is great. We have had huge requests for this information. So the Outlook Sync is, in the past, as you know, the Outlook simply has synchronized the data that it was kind of hard-coded to do. Now they've completely opened it up and allowed huge amount of functionality there. So one of the things we've had requests for in the past is we do not want to synchronize the notes from Outlook into CRM, because you might put notes about how to drive to their office or some specific information that this guy has a Dalmatian dog or something. You don't necessarily need that in CRM, but you'd sure like to have it in your phone when you're walking into his office, that kind of idea. So you can now say, I don't want to synchronize notes. And maybe you want multiple addresses. So now you can decide if you want to sync address 1, address 2, address 3 from CRM to Outlook and vice versa. You can decide what direction the fields go. So should this go up? Should it come down? It's also completely alert to the field level synchronization. To the field level security. So in the past, there was a problem that if you had field level security, the data could still come down to Outlook. So if you secured a phone number, which would be maybe a little weird, but it would still come down to Outlook. Now, if anything is field level security that you don't have permission for, it simply doesn't synchronize out to your Outlook, which is great. So that's obviously a huge enhancement there. In addition to that, I mentioned that they're synchronizing the addresses. They're also synchronizing the phones now. And they've added a task synchronization. So you can synchronize Outlook tasks. In the past, you didn't have that capability to make those decisions like that. They're also synchronizing now attachments inside appointments, so that if you have, for instance, a Word doc for a quote, and you're scheduled to go out and see somebody about about their quote, and that if the quote is actually inside the inside the appointment, that will be synchronized to CRM and down from CRM down to the calendar, and actually out to your phone, so you'd be able to look at the quote right from your phone. I mean, so that's some huge functionality. They've also altered the method of authentication, which is pretty geek in there, using OAuth, and I won't get into a whole lot of detail about that. And I think that's the majority of the information. Obviously, if you're on 2013, you had the capability of synchronizing via Exchange. So direct synchronization from Exchange to the CRM server. That has been enhanced with additional functionality also. All right. I'm trying to go to number 8. Megan, for some reason, it's not letting me do this. Oh, there you go. Okay, good. Sales product taxonomy. Now, I told Megan, I was trying to come up with a better word than taxonomy, but that is the actual word. So let me just explain what we're talking about there a little bit. My goal here is to kind of one of the requests we've had for years is we want the CRM to more help our sales process, not just be somebody wants to buy a flat screen TV for their office. They're calling some company and want to buy 2 flat screen TVs for the office for the conference rooms, right? And we put those in and we sell them to them. Easy peasy. That's always been available inside CRM. But what about the equipment to hang it on the wall? We'd have to have our salesperson know that they needed to ask that question, right? Well, now inside CRM, there's actual product families. So again, if I were to think in an environment for like the credit union, I know some of those folks are online right now, you have the opportunity for wealth management, which would be investments and all different kinds of products that they might be interested in. Well, as you're talking to people about things, it will actually make suggestions to you now in the system. I don't know if we can see it on that screenshot very well, but it'll actually pop up a window, or I'm sorry, a right nav window that'll say, these are the suggestions that we have for you on this. Would they be interested in this, and would they be interested in that? It's a great option there for you. And then let's say, for instance, more on the TV set kind of idea. You might say they want this particular ABC TV. Well, do they want it in the 42-inch, the 50-inch, the 60-inch? And instead of having to go look and figure which product they want, you can say, just give me the Samsung TV, and then it'll give you a small window that'll say, which one do you want, the 42, the 50, or the 60? So it actually walks you through the process much simpler and much easier. So I think it's a great opportunity for you there. And it will actually works with the org charts, so you'll be able to see, and we'll get into the org charts in just a second here. Actually, as I say that, we'll go ahead and try to click to the next one. There you go, good. Okay, the SLA enhancements. So this is for the customer service. And again, looks like a bunch of you are using customer service. So SLA is the idea of being able to have a service level agreement with your clients. That is, if somebody calls in with a serious problem, you get back to them within an hour or 2 hours. And if it's just a suggestion on how to improve your website, maybe you get back to them within 24 hours, right? So we've got these set processes. We've got different levels of a hierarchy within the customers. And that can be for account level, so you can have an account that's a diamond level and one that's a gold level and bronze or whatever. And you can serve them in different ways because maybe they paid for it, or maybe they're just a bigger client. It can be known to the client, this is how you react, or it can just be kind of on the side that you just do it internally. It can also be product-based. So let's say, for instance, you have somebody that buys the Maserati. Well, maybe that Maserati gets, within 10-minute service or something like that if they call in with a problem. That the ashtray is full or something. You can have the service level agreements on both sides of that. Now, one of the new features, if anybody in the organization, if anybody listening is using the SLA feature in 2013, is we can actually now pause those times. So let's say, for instance, you have to resolve a case within 24 hours. That's the rule. But somebody calls in and you say, hey, listen, I need you to go back out to our TV set, and I need you to unplug it, count to 10, and plug it back in again, right? Well, you can't make them do that. You can tell them to do it. And then at that point, you can send it from in process to an on hold, or client is working on it. And for that particular phase of the SLA, it'll stop the clock. So you're not bound to your 24 hours because you're waiting for the customer to go do something. What that does, it gives you a more honest understanding of when you're succeeding with your SLAs and when you're failing. And it will also give you a report now saying when the SLA came in, when it was actually resolved, and when it should have been resolved. That information is calculated so that you can say I'm this many minutes or this many hours over or under on our SLAs. All right. And one thing to note about this, if you are using SLAs, this is kind of a heavy-duty new feature that they've added. So if you have customer SLAs that are currently in operation, they won't upgrade to this new functionality. I think Greg is probably going to mention that in his upgrade talk. But so if you want to use some of this new functionality, you will kind of have to go recreate some of those SLAs for your clients. It's a little bit of an annoyance, but I think for the additional features, it's well worth it. All right. I'm going to number 10. Oh, thank you, Megan. Number 10, thank you. You're catching it, aren't you? I appreciate that. So this is one of the funnest ones. We've been had this request for years now. We have had our programmers, many of you guys know Greg and Nathan and Rupinder, that have been doing calculated fields and rolled up fields for years. You know, literally 8 years we've been doing this kind of information. And now what they've done is they've enabled what I'll call kind of Excel type functionality in the CRM. So if you think about the roll-up fields, that would be for instance, maybe total opportunities for an account. So you could open up an account record, and in there would be a field that would have the total of all the opportunities underneath it. No code to make that happen, just a real simple ability to add that functionality. How about the number of cases, maybe open cases or maybe cases ever for an account? Open up an account record, see the number of cases. Or how about if you open up a marketing campaign and be able to see the number of qualified leads from that? And again, it's a very simple selection. You don't have to do any code or anything. It's very Excel-ish. And that would be the roll-up. So basically the idea is it will look down to child records and be able to do calculations on those child records. The other one is calculated fields. Now that's very simple. That's just basically going to be math and date functions within a given field. Now the advantage is it also enables and or functionality from that. So that's pretty serious. Now think about that as weighted revenue on an opportunity. So if I have an opportunity where I'm selling 10 items at $1,000, or $1,000 is going to be $10,000, but there's only a 50% chance I'm going to sell it. Well, then that'll take it down to a $5,000 weighted opportunity. Or maybe a lead score. You have people that have hit your website and then done other things. You've made calls. They've responded to this and that. You want to give value to each one of those. It actually allows you to make those calculations on that. Or something as simple as an invoice due date. You know, I create an invoice and I want to say it's due 30 days later. That has been just a tiny little snippet of code, little 1 or 2 lines of code that we've been producing for years for people. And now you can simply say, take this date, add 30 to it, and put it in the this date field. So it's a great, great enhancement, and again, just makes it easy for you guys to use. Megan, one more. Thank you, thank you. Let's see, I didn't have it in there. I did pull it out. So I'm going to tell you one more here, and I know I'm 3 minutes into Greg's time, but Greg had sent me a note saying it's okay for me to go a little bit more. I mentioned the org charts. One thing I didn't have in here, and I took out, I guess, to add some other functionality. As I said, I was kind of struggling with the top 10. Is actually org charts inside CRM. So think about this for a second. And the org chart idea of the boxes with the lines, that actually can now be done from an account level. So if I open up an account, I can go to the contacts visualization, and I can see all the contacts underneath it. I can see the CEO, I can see the managers, I can see the staff level under them, and I get this visualization of that. But I can also use that for the users inside my system. I can use that for contacts, accounts, if you have branch locations, and I know some of people deal with a number of branches in a distributor type model. You can see where all the branches are, who's the head people, where they are. You can actually create phone calls right from those, from that screen. You can also do it with opportunities and with cases, kind of just to get that information. The last 4 things, and Greg, you'll be up in about a minute. Cortana enabled. For all of you people that have Windows phones, you can now speak to your CRM. It's actually a pretty cool video if you check it out online. Social listening, as I mentioned, it actually does social, what is it, where it decides if it's a positive or negative, and it does it in 9 languages now. So if you are a global company, it will be, it can determine in Italian if somebody's happy at you or mad at you with that. Improved Quick Create, really great additional functionality there for you people that use Quick Create a little bit. So you can just, from an account form, if you need to add a contact, which, you know, we all do that. We create a new account and we're like, oh, we got to add a new contact, and then you got to, it's just kind of a little bit of too many clicks to get there. The new Quick Create allows you to put in just the basic information for that contact and kind of move through it a little quicker. And then the custom help. And I think for a number of, you know, for our friends at Zazzle and at ACWA and at the credit union, a number of other places, the custom help for your users. When you've got a bunch of users and they're not necessarily comfortable with how to use the system, you can now create the help for them that will be specific to your organization with pictures and screens and things like that. And the F1 and the clicking for help will actually be a custom help that you can build out for them. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm 5 minutes over on that, and I think that's it for me on my slides, Megan.
Thanks, Larry. So, Greg, we're actually going to pass it over to you for your next and also for the audience's sake, last poll question.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
You're good to go, Greg.
Okay.
We can. They can't respond.
Okay. No, I just, that's fine. Well, the last poll question here, it's pretty straightforward, and we asked about the specific version previously. Most of you are on 2013. Here, what type of CRM is your organization using? So the basics are online or on-prem. If you're not sure, that is a valid choice as well. And let's see, I think that everyone has voted, so we can move on. And it's an equal split, so half online, half on-prem. Thanks very much. That makes a difference in terms of upgrading considerations. Also, I wanted to back up just a little bit to reiterate one of Larry's slides, and that is the calculated and roll-up fields. That is going to be a tremendous addition. In fact, I had even gone so far as to write a generic plugin for, in the context of CRM 2011, it's 2013 compatible as well, that would make it easier for people to, I wouldn't call it roll-up fields particularly or per se, but to implement that sort of behavior. So to have it within the base product so that the end users can create those without any additional programming, that's a welcome relief. We are happy to program such things for you, but in my opinion, we're even happier not to program those particular things. All right. We're going to look at technical considerations. That really deals with compatibility, web clients, operating systems, SQL Server versions. The SQL Server versions, a lot of that really is going to be more important for on-premise customers, because if you're online, it's pretty much taken care of for you. And then we will also look at best practices coming from those various versions as I have listed there, 2013, 2011. I have a slide related to version 4, but none of the attendees are on version 4, so I'm probably just going to skip right past that. And then we will briefly look at how you can schedule for online customers, how you can schedule that update. You can go to the next slide, Megan. Compatible web clients, i.e. 10 and above. So if you or any of your users are using IE 8 or 9, it is time to move forward. And that's been coming for a while. Certainly since the release of 2013, Microsoft has been rumbling about that. I know that there are some people that have been using 2013 with IE 9 and just getting by, but there have been issues even with that. So with 2015, it is definitely time to get off IE 8 and 9. Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari, those are all pretty self-explanatory. And we can go to the next slide. For this, the operating systems listed here, it's basically the difference between 32 and 64-bit, as will be also mentioned in the next slide, which looks at SQL Server versions. It's very simple. For CRM 2015, it has to be 64-bit. For prior versions, it was a mixture. They supported both 32-bit and 64-bit, which, yeah, it's a gradual incremental upgrade, but it's high time to go to 64-bit. It's pretty ubiquitous now. So that should all be straightforward. Also, again, this entire slide does not apply to you if you are an online customer. This is only for on-prem. You can go to the next slide. Thanks. And as I just alluded to, SQL Server versions, it has to be 64-bit. It's pretty self-explanatory. Once again, only for on-prem. This has no bearing, no importance if you are online. All of this is taken care of for you. And we can go to the next slide, please. And again. And yes, indeed, this is very easy if you are already on 2013, which most of our audience is. Going to 2015 is going to be very, very easy. The most difficult thing, and really it shouldn't be that difficult, is to make sure that you are already on Service Pack 1 or above. Service Pack 1 for CRM 2013 was released, I believe, last August. So I am guessing that everyone is probably on that already. If you're an online customer, you are definitely on that, so this is completely a non-issue for you. And if you're on-prem, I know that some on-prem customers are a bit cautious about upgrading, but if you're not on Service Pack 1 already, you definitely should be. It's been fully tested and vetted. In fact, I believe that there's even an update roll-up already for Service Pack 1, and that has been out for a couple of months now as well. We can go to the next slide. For moving from CRM 2011 to 2015, it is a bit more difficult. As I note, there is no direct route. You have to go via 2013. That is CRM 2011 to 2013. And I would test everything in 2013 first, test it very thoroughly, and then go from 2013 to 2015. And as I just said, the 2013 to 2015 step is pretty straightforward, but that there is, again, no way to go 2011 to 2015. I mentioned the custom code validation tool. This is, it looks at the JavaScript. This is particularly important if you have a number of custom JavaScript web resources. If you don't have any, then you don't have to worry about that, but many people do. So what I would like to do here is just briefly switch to that so I can show you what it looks like.
Hey, Greg, real quick there. So
yes, sir.
With this, while you're switching, with this information, what level of person should be doing this to work? I mean, is this an end user can do this, or is it a general admin, or is this more of a backroom IT guy?
In terms of the upgrade?
Doing this kind of testing to see where they are with it.
Oh, you mean the testing, like if you have to go from CRM 2011 to 2013?
Yeah, what you're doing here, that kind of stuff.
Okay, and also you can see I trust that you can see the custom code validation tool?
Yes.
Okay. This would be I'm not sure that it would be enough to be a sysadmin. I think it would be a tech, that is a developer type. This does not, it doesn't have to be an IT person. And yeah, I would say a technical person, preferably someone who knows JavaScript. Alternatively, if you don't have such a person on staff, a sysadmin could go through this, and then there is a button right here called Print Script, which does precisely that. So you can dump this entire, all of this output, you can dump it to a file and then give that to somebody to go through it in more detail. The reason that I wanted to show this to you is also to mention that this is not a magic panacea. It is sort of a search tool. It's fine. It looks for certain instances of hard-coded words, but it is not going to catch everything. It will also throw false flags because there can be references to certain things that are actually not going to be an issue, and I've found this many times in the context of upgrading from 2011 to 2013. Larry, was that enough
Yeah,
of an answer?
I guess what I was thinking is, if you have the capabilities to do it, that's fine. If you don't, we can help you find somebody, or we can certainly do this kind of test and let you know. I mean, this is what Greg does, all day. He's very comfortable with things, and this would be required whether you're online or on-prem if you're moving up. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is assuming that you have custom JavaScript or script, as it's called internally, web resources. If you have not written any custom scripts, then I think that you're in the minority, actually.
Yeah, Greg, I would say the challenge there is probably a lot of a lot of the people on the phone aren't going to know if they're custom scripts. So this would be something that you'd want to have tested for sure, even if you didn't think you did, because something would fail on the upgrade, right?
Yes, that is absolutely true. And it's easy enough to check, because this, and I didn't mention this previously, this custom code validation tool, just do a web search. It's freely available for download. It comes as a managed solution, so you just import that directly into CRM, either online or on-prem, and it's just a Silverlight thing. That's it. When you look at the solution, you get these buttons. It's no muss, no fuss, very easy to run. So there's really not too much to really anybody, although probably it would be best for an admin to run this to get these results. You don't have to be a highly technical person to install this solution and run it. But yes, everyone considering upgrading should definitely do this. Having said that, though, this is going to be much less of an issue. In fact, almost a non-issue if you're in 2013 already, because I would like to hope that if you have any custom JavaScript, and let's say that you upgraded, as many people have, from 2011 to 2013, you or your consultant or your in-house development staff probably already went through this step. So everything should be clean. In terms of JavaScript from 2013 to 2015, if it is fully compatible with 2013, you have nothing to worry about going forward. There have been no structural changes behind the scenes that will render it incompatible. This was not the case going from 2011 to 2013. There were lots of things, including old version 4 scripts that they would run fine in 2011 but would completely break under 2013, so that it was a massive headache for a lot of people. But if this is really geared more toward the people that are coming from 2011 to 2015.
Hey, Greg, just a heads up, 5-minute warning before we go into our questions.
Okay, thanks. And that's fine. I'm almost done anyway. One other thing that I want to mention about this, let's see, also you get this thing, the red and the blue. The difference is that items that are blue, this is related to the browser independence that was originally introduced in 2011, update rollup number 12. And let's see, what else did I want to say about this? I guess I forgot. Okay, well, fine. We can close that for now. Brian, it's okay to go back to the slide deck. Thank you. And we can move to the next slide. Yes, go ahead and skip this. This is, as I mentioned earlier, if you're coming from version 4 to 2015, that is a bit of a mess, which fortunately nobody listening to this should have to undergo. Nobody listening to this would want to undergo that. Scheduling. There are 3 ways to do this, and also this applies only if you're an online customer. If you're on-prem, obviously, you schedule it yourself. You download the necessary components and do the upgrade whenever you want to. If you're online, you can either log into your Office 365, go to the admin drop-down menu and pick CRM. You'll see everything there. There will also be a message sent automatically, at least one, probably several, from Microsoft to your CRM admin on record, and there'll be a link in that you can click through. And third, you will see a little banner notification every time that you log in to CRM Online. It'll be near the top. It'll say you have excuse me, an upcoming upgrade or sorry, update, and there'll be a link to click through on that as well. So any of those will take you to the same place. Next slide, please. And this demonstrates what you will see. This is an example of a client that has multiple CRM Online instances. So if approval is required, then you will see over on the right side that Manage Updates is actually a live link, as is Reschedule Update. And if you want to go ahead and approve it as is, you can click on that. That's down near the bottom. But if we go to the next slide, then we will see what this is what you get if you click on Manage Updates. This is, Microsoft definitely learned from last time. Another big problem, a headache for many people, including us, was that people were, online customers going from 2011 to 2013, were basically locked into a date and time. They had very little choice in the matter. It was possible to request a reprieve, a temporary delay, but it was normally just a one-time thing. This being able to personalize your update, this is a great improvement. So thank you to Microsoft for paying attention to the last big update. We can go to the next slide, please. And this just takes us back to the previous screen after having approved a particular update. Now those are all pretty self-explanatory and easy to follow. I think that is the last one of my slides. So, questions?
Thanks, Greg. So it looks like we do have a couple questions that came in, but if anyone does have a few more, feel free to go ahead and submit them now. We have a few minutes left, but if we don't get to everyone's questions before the end of the webinar, then we will definitely follow up with you afterwards. So it looks like actually both of our questions are for you, Greg. The first one is, we are still on CRM 2011. We have several dozen custom JavaScript web resources. Can you give us a rough estimate of how long it might take to make those fully compatible with 2013/2015?
A lot of that will hinge on whether, well, really when those custom scripts were written. If they were written, if you came from version 4 to 2011, then there are probably going to be a substantial overhaul is likely going to be necessary because the internal CRM object model changed drastically between version 4 and 2011. As I alluded to earlier, 2011 continued to allow version 4 scripts to run, but Microsoft was always saying, better update these at some point because there's no guarantee they're going to continue to run. And surely enough, in 2013, they stopped running. So in 2015, of course, they're not going to run either. So coming from version 4 to 2011, that may take some time. If your scripts were written in 2011 after version or update rollup 12, which, as I mentioned earlier, that was a big one that introduced browser independence that could work with Firefox and Chrome. Those should be pretty clean already. So again, it's a broad-ranging thing. There's no way to know the technical expertise of the people who wrote the scripts, but assuming that it was someone fairly conscientious, it should be a fairly clean, not too time-consuming process.
Great. Thanks, Greg. And actually, I saw that we did have one other question come in for Larry, so I'll get to you next, Larry. But first, I have the second one for Greg. We're considering an in-place upgrade rather than a migration upgrade. I noticed that you didn't mention in-place upgrades. Why not?
Because I never recommend in-place upgrades to anyone. The only advantage to doing an in-place upgrade is that you do not have to have a separate server. Oh, also to clarify, this in-place versus migratory upgrade, this does not apply at all if you're online. This is only for on-prem. And you can find, just do web searches if you're unfamiliar with the differences, but very briefly, the only disadvantage to a migratory upgrade is that you have to have a separate server. Basically, you have you keep your existing CRM 2013 server, and you put CRM 2015 on a different server, and then deal with copying the database from 2013 to 2015. And I think that anyone who's on-prem shouldn't have a problem with getting an additional server. The advantages are that your users can stay on 2013 up until the very instant that you decide to go live with 2015. You can also test thoroughly, again, while 2013 is still in production and being used. You can also roll back if you need to. With in place, no chance of rolling back, no ability for testing, and there's also the downtime while you do the upgrade. So really, in my opinion, there is no good reason for anyone to do an in-place upgrade.
Thank you. And Larry, we will have just one more question, and this one will go to you. We had someone ask, can I see a demo of some of the new features, or at least speak with someone directly before my upgrade?
Thank you, Megan. Yes, sure. As you can see, we're a little tight on time. We're actually like 1 minute left here. So I wasn't able to show the actual software of what it was. I just had the screenshots. So if you did have an interest, please feel free to email to me directly. You might put up our contact info now, Megan, before we drop off here. There's my email address. Feel free to contact me directly. I'll be happy to chat with you. I know some of you are actually in the process now of looking like what is that upgrade going to be. And I will be happy to have that conversation with you as needed. Feel free to reach out to me directly.
Thanks, Larry.
Sure.
So like Larry mentioned, we're just about out of time. So as everyone can see, both Larry and Greg's contact information is up on the screen. And of course, we will be sending out the slides within the next few days here. So you'll get that as well. If you have any questions for either of them, like Larry mentioned, for demos or anything, or any technical questions for Greg, feel free to reach out to them directly. As you exit today's webinar, there will be a quick survey. Please take a moment to let us know your thoughts on the webinar. We definitely like to utilize that information to make sure that we're getting you the good content for future webinars. Thank you to Larry and Greg for your knowledge and expertise today. And thank you to all of our audience for your time. And everyone have a great day.
Thanks, now.
Thank you, everyone.